Slam. Support life and music.
Slam. This is Jack Mangan. This is episode number 50. Wow. Our guest on this one is Lorraine Lewis, iconic and beautiful singer from the 80s. As a side note, I actually got to meet her about a week, face-to-face, I got to meet her about a week after we recorded this. Thanks very much to Mark Pruett of Slam, also of the Whiskey Network, for being on, being a great co-host, and putting this together. Quote from this episode, "I'm not that different. My trajectory has always been sex." Keep listening, hear what it's all about. All right, we keep falling in and out of love. What's up, everyone? Jack Mangan here. You know me from the Support Life and Music. This is my home now, but you also know me from Metal Asylum. I've done stuff for the Metal Hall of Fame. I've done stuff for the Metal Voice. But yeah, it's an honor. First, before we get to our illustrious, amazing guest, I want to talk to someone who's also illustrious and amazing. Mark Pruett, my cohort out there in California. What's up, Mark?
I've been described as a lot of things, but never those two specific things. But thank you for introducing me. Yes, glad to be here.
Great. Well, how about I'll give you the honors to introduce our amazing guest. Go ahead, Mark.
Wow. Well, today we have a very special treat. The Femme Fatale herself, in all of her glory, fearless, free spirit, all the F words. Let's just put them all out there from what we talked about earlier. I could go on for hours about your accomplishments and your amazing qualities, but let's get right into it. Lorraine Lewis, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful intro. Mark and Jack, I'm really honored to be here. Thank you so much for wanting me to be a part of your show. I'm really, really honored. Life is good. And yes, I am all the F's in the alphabet, you can imagine. And I have a tendency to drop the F bomb. So let's just get that out of the way. I'm really fucking happy to be here. So
We're
now
off to the races.
Now we're off to the races, but yes, I am the original Femme Fatale, none other, for sure. I know that there have been bands that have tried to claim that name. There was a band out of Japan that was running with the moniker, but I actually have paperwork that just came in literally yesterday, and I am the owner of the name Femme Fatale. So I'm really stoked about that. You know, back in the day, before the record deal, I had had it registered, and then time goes on. It's been decades, and then it kind of fell through the cracks. But my attorney and I got it back, and it is legally mine, and I couldn't be happier. So I have all that paperwork. So,
Nice.
yay. Again, the original Femme Fatale. That's me, Lorraine Lewis. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, congratulations. And that's funny because, you're the one I think of like in the music world, you're the femme fatale. Like, there's no one else. So it's weird that you've had
100%.
to fight to defend that. It'd be like if Mark and I started a band called Bon Jovi. People are like, I associate that with someone else. I don't associate that with you. So
Well,
kudos for getting it back.
Britney Spears released an album called Femme Fatale, and that was kind of surprising, right? So and I didn't have ownership of the name back then. So it really does feel good to have it and in my possession. So that I'm just, it's just another thing on my list. Another thing on my list. I have lists of things that I do, and I get to check that one off. So it's really cool. It's a great year, 2026. Super stoked about what's going on in my life. And you mentioned fearless, and I am really fearless. I mean, especially nowadays because I've been on the planet a pretty long time, and I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned a lot of things, and I am authentic to the bone. I love rock and roll, and I just am myself. And people either like me and dig what I do, or they don't, and it's okay. I'm okay with it either way. But at the end of the day, I feel really good about myself and just being able to do the things that I want to do. And one of them being, signing with Cleopatra Records and releasing singles and videos with Steve Brown at the helm. Honored and grateful to work with that guy. I mean, oh my God, he's so talented. He just messaged me a little while ago. We're working on a song. I mean, we've got a whole album that's going to come out this year, but In particular, he's in the studio right now. I just sent him the vocal tracks that I did over the weekend for a song called Somebody. It was co-written by Tommy Henriksen from Alice Cooper Band, Steve Brown, and myself. And Steve's laying background vocals on it, and it is great. I already have a video in mind for it. So yeah, the creative juices are definitely flowing 24/7 around here. It's pretty cool.
Exciting.
That's great. Awesome. If I could jump in, I actually have a question sort of about back in the day. You've come to Los Angeles, you leave Albuquerque, New Mexico, you come to Los Angeles, and you're on your way and you're gonna form your band. And it was different back then, right? What was it? It was an ad in the trades, or it was something like that. So how did that come together? How did you have sort of a vibe check of like this person's going to fit or this person isn't going to fit? Because it's so different now. Everything is so much out there on social media, and so I don't know if that makes it easier, or I don't know make if it makes it different, but given the focus of support and life and music, can we talk about that a little bit? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was really hard. It was really hard to put a band together back in the 80s. And look, the bottom line is I wanted to come to LA. When I saw David Lee Roth on stage, I wanted to be David Lee Roth. I didn't want to date him. I wanted to be David Lee Roth. And I was at that time, I was in a band called West Wind. We were doing Linda Ronstadt covers, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, that kind of stuff. Being from Albuquerque, I used to wear all black with a black cowboy hat, and I was doing covers of that kind of music. And then when David Lee Roth and Van Halen came through town, I went to the concert and I couldn't believe what I was seeing or hearing. And I thought David Lee Roth was the shit. I mean, he was just the dude. He comes out crotch first and he leads with his dick when he walks on stage. And I was just so enamored by him and the splits that he did and all of he just blew my mind. David Lee Roth in his prime, untouchable. And I will say a derivative of Jim Dandy for sure. If you look at Black Oak, Arkansas, and you can see the similarities, that the exposed chest and the low pants with the belt and the long flowing hair. And look, we all emulate each other in life and especially in rock and roll. I mean, I've definitely studied a lot of artists. And so anyway, when I saw David Lee Roth, knew I wanted to come to LA, but wasn't quite sure how to go about it. I was in a top 40 band at that time called Babe Ruthless. We were, selling out, the whole bar was packed every night, even on a Tuesday night. We were making a good living. A girlfriend of mine had moved to LA. She was a dancer at the Seventh Veil. Her name is Kathy Stonko. She was hanging out with Rat and, Bang Tango and all of these bands. And she came home one weekend and she put a shot of Jack Daniels in front of her, shot of Jack in front of me, and said, "Girl, you have to get to LA. No girl is doing what you're doing." And we did shots. I said, "I'm moving to LA." And within a week, I moved to LA with the keyboard player. Now, getting to LA and in my mind, putting a band together of rock gods, because I only wanted to be with good looking, great rock musicians that looked great, sounded great, had all the stuff. I mean, it was the 80s, right? Big boobs, big hair, all of that stuff. So I really knew that I wanted a great looking band as well as a well playing band, and put out the ads, did all the stuff, was moving way too slow for me. I mean, it was just not happening. I was waitressing at Bob's Big Boy in Burbank.
The one in Burbank,
Yes,
Yeah,
at
it's still
Burbank.
there.
I was a
it's still there.
head waitress. I think it is still there.
It is.
Yeah.
But I was waitressing and I made decent money, but then I'd go home and we would put out these ads and wait for people to show up at our apartment. I was living with the keyboard player. He was my husband at the time, and I've never really talked about that much. I was married to him for 5 years. And when I got to LA, I mean, I knew that it wasn't going to last, to be honest with you. I really had my vision and my sights set on a record deal, and that was my focus. Marriage and love are great, but I had a vision of where I saw myself. And so I ended that marriage, but he stayed in the band, which I got to give him kudos for that. And it was the boys in the band that really helped keep him together. But needless to say, or going forward, we would put these ads out. Guys would come to the door. We'd look through the peephole. I'd check them out. If they looked decent, I'd open the door. If they didn't look like, because the 80s, there was Thompson Twins type people, that poppy, flock of seagulls look, or there were
Mhm.
rock gods.
Yep.
Totally two different things. I was looking for rock gods. So if somebody came up to the door and was like Kajagoogoo looking, right? It wasn't happening. I was, and I don't feel bad about that. I really don't. I think I should feel bad about it, but I don't. I really had a vision.
Absolutely not. Do not feel bad.
Yeah,
Yes, it's your brand. It was your brand.
Correct.
Yeah.
it's my
100%.
brand. And so that went on for months. The keyboard player slash my husband was working at Music Land as a manager. His hair was really big and he had like a shirt and tie. I mean, we just did what we had to do. And then one day I just said, like, F this, I'm calling my brother back home. He was in a band called Suspenders and they were very popular. And there was another band called Dirty Blonde and they were popular. And they all looked amazing. Dirty Blonde was really rough and just in your face and sexy boys. And I called my brother. I said, okay, here's the deal. You're coming to LA. You're going to be my bass player. You're going to get Bobby and Bill from Dirty Blonde, and you're all moving to LA and you're going to be my band. And that is that. And they did it. And that's how it happened. That's how I put Femme Fatale together. Um, I basically just said, this is what's going down. I know that just from my reputation back home, I was the ticket for them in a way to get out of Albuquerque and to come to LA. I don't know that they really would have done it on their own. Not to say that they were chicken or anything, but I'm the one with the guts in the group. I had the vision, and they jumped on board, and we got signed within 10 shows of starting to play at the Whiskey A Go Go No Bozo Jam nights that Rikki Rocket used to run. And it happened really fast. It almost happened too fast because we didn't have time to really develop as a band. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna, if someone puts a $100 bill in front of me, I'm not going to say no. Let me figure out if I want that. You put a record deal in front of my face, and I'm not going to say, oh, let me think about that. I just went yes. So that's the truth of how it all went down.
I have two comments. And my first comment is every great story in the rock and roll world, but elsewhere, starts out with, we were having a shot of whiskey. I just want to point that out. It wasn't we were enjoying some steamed vegetables or no offense
Right?
to salads or vegetables. It's always we had a couple of shots of whiskey. I'm just pointing out facts here.
Love it.
The second thing that I would like to point out is, and you will never know how deeply I appreciate the story that you just told and some of the keywords that you used. I miss when music was dangerous. I miss when music had that quality where you could see a band and you're like, what the fuck? Like this is just out of control, blowing me away right now. And bands of that time had that quality. It was like you say, just picking people off the street, like you look like you fit. That makes total sense. So that completely and totally vibes with me. That makes sense. And I think that that stands out. This is on brand for me. This is what I want. This is what I'm going after. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. And when the boys came out to LA, I mean, they were beautiful. They had better hair than I did. They had really healthy, beautiful hair. It was super long. They were slender, they were fit, they were built. Bobby Murray behind the drums and my brother Rick and Mozzie. I mean, they were all great singers. The backup vocals, when you listen to the live footage or the live soundtrack that we have, I released it on F&A Records a couple of years ago. the vocals are so locked in. Like these guys really, really were great backup singers and supported me so great. And they really were the real deal. They really were. I mean, along with all the crazy road stories and, Bill getting too drunk one night and boxing a tree and messing up his hands for the next couple of shows. I mean, they did it all. There were dancers and strippers on the buses. I mean, we had going through the Bible Belt, we were picketed by mothers that were against me and called me a slut and a whore and all that stuff. Going through the Bible Belt, that our music was the devil music. And I remember our tour manager, Wilf Wright, get us rolling into town for the gig, and we were in front of the venue, and him saying, everybody stay on the bus. No one is to leave the bus. And I was like, what the hell? And I remember opening up the curtain, and sure enough, women picketing and me going to hell, apparently, and all this stuff, And then here we roll forward a couple of decades, 3 decades, whatever. And, I'm on OnlyFans now. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. Life is a bowl of whatever you make it. And I don't believe I'm going to hell, but I believe that I do love to live life to the fullest and to the max, and I have no apologies for that. That's for sure. So,
If there's one thing that jumps out about you is you live your life unapologetically, and that is a fantastic quality, and I applaud you for all of those things. It's just how you have to be.
I will say it's taken me a while to get here, though. I mean, I've been married a bunch of times. Was tried to be controlled by those husbands, I will say, and jealousy, control. I mean, as strong as a woman as I am, it is baffling in a way for me to even understand or try to understand or come to terms with the fact that I was in these relationships that were not good for me, that tried to control me and tried to, have me get out of the music business when, I mean, I've been in the music business a very long time. I mean, I would say I've been in the business since I was, in junior high school when I was singing in girls choir and concert choir. I mean, that's always been what I did. I've always been a singer, or entertaining my parents' colleagues with me with a acoustic guitar in the living room. I mean, I've always been a performer. I've always been a singer. So, yeah, baffling to find myself in those marriages, and so thankful and grateful that I got out of them. And what you see now really is what you get. I mean, I think that back in the day, there were obviously glimpses of that because I am powerful and I was calling my own shots. It wasn't the record label telling me what to do. They ran with what I gave them. The video director, I'm rolling on the floor, he ran with that. That was me just expressing myself. And nobody told me to do that stuff. I just was being my authentic self. But now here we are, later, free, single, doing my life the way I want to. Yes, I do live authentically and unapologetically, and I think that is a message for all of us. Whether you're in a relationship or not, just be yourself. And if they like you, great. If they don't, move on. They can find somebody that is less. That's it.
If I could stand
Yeah.
up and give you a standing ovation, I would, but
Yeah.
then you'd probably see my Hello Kitty boxers. So, anyways, Jack,
Yeah.
I cut you off, so I'm going to give you a chance. I'm sorry, Lorraine,
No,
you were going to say something.
No,
you're
I
good,
was just
Mark.
going to
Go
say
on.
I have a Hello Kitty mug over here that a fan, which I don't like to use that word fan all the time, but he's become a friend and he sent me this Hello Kitty coffee mug from Starbucks. So it just rang a bell that I have that. I love some Hello Kitty. Anyway, Jack, you wanted to
Yeah.
say something.
No, I'm enjoying the conversation. It's all good. Mark is all good. He's too polite. But I will also say I have two daughters, so my house is full of Hello Kitty. I will win if we want to do a Hello Kitty competition here. Um, and I'm blaming it on my daughters, not me. So anyway, I wanted to say this is the second time I've met you. I met you last year at NAMM. Well, first, this is a comment. I find it amazing that anyone would imagine that they could control you. That's amazing. 'Cause I
Yes,
just get just
exactly.
from these two conversations. I know you're a fighter, and I applaud that. I mean, fuck controllers. That's not. No one should be trying to control anyone else.
Here, here.
So But well, I mean, so you talked about this, and another thing, this harkens back to what you said. Sexuality was such a huge deal for like, look at Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, Def Leppard, like all these great bands. Like you said, they led with their dicks. Like they're out there with their shirts open. So, but why is it a different fight for you? As a sexy woman who is out there doing basically the same things the guys are doing, just from a female perspective. Like, how is the fight different, and why was it different for you?
I don't think that we've ever been able to figure out why. It's something that is. It just is. And if you're a woman expressing yourself sexually, you get labeled a certain thing, and that's just kind of how it is. And I don't know where that comes from, but in this conversation, we can't save the world, we can't fix the world. We have to be a part of the world. So I just find a way to just block it out, and I'm still going to do what I do. Even with when you talk about the OnlyFans, and I have had people come to me. I mean, it's been 50-50. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, like, this is awesome. Like, because you don't care that people might be talking about you behind your back. And I don't, because number one, I will say, when V Band, that's how I refer to them, V Band fired me 2 years ago. um, they took all that money, the summer money, out of my pocket. Um, we were supposed to go out in 2 weeks. And I did set the record straight with an interview about a month ago, because the interviewer, I don't know who it was, he said, "Oh, well, I heard that you got fired because you were on OnlyFans." And I said, "Let's set the record straight. I didn't join OnlyFans until after I got fired." Again, all that, the summer money tour, that was wiped out. I do work in television and I make a really great living doing that. I'm a casting producer. I actually start a new show on Monday with everything that's going on with my list. Let's add new TV show to that. But yeah, so I joined after that. And if some people that have not been fans of it, some family members, by the way, but if you look at my rock and roll self and my rock and roll life and roll back to 1987, 88, even before I got the record deal in Albuquerque, I was wearing black lace like slips on stage, with big hair and boobs and the whole thing. Like, um, I, I'm not that different. Like my trajectory has always been sex, drugs, rock and roll, although I stay away from drugs, but it's always been that. That's what rock and roll is. I don't really understand why people want to point a finger on any of it. I mean, I did sing a song called Waiting for the Big One. I rolled around on the floor. I smacked my butt in the video. Like, it's, if you look at and I don't know if you guys even realize this, but the opening of Waiting for the Big One, that was directed by the late and great Marty Callner, a really good friend of mine. But when that opening shot comes and it pans this wide stage, it looks like a stage, but if you really look in the right-hand corner, there's a little sign that says, "Do not remove," for, like whatever that phrase is, like when you take it off of a pillow, right? Because that's a bed, that is a mattress. So Waiting for the Big One, the way that it would, the whole thing, the video, the stage was a bed. So, for people to decades later say, "Oh, we're so shocked that she would be on OnlyFans," or, it's like, really, really, really? Because no, you shouldn't be, because it's just another expression of myself decades later. And I take care of myself. I work out. I love life. I'm happy. I laugh at myself a lot. And why shouldn't I be doing OnlyFans? And by the way, making some guys really happy because they were like 17 or 18 years old when my videos came out, and they're like, "Oh my God, you were like my first crush. I can't believe I'm talking to you." I mean, that's just fun. We're here to have fun. Lighten up, everybody. So that's what I'll have to say about that. But yeah, I don't know why it's different for women. It just is. But I'm just going to still just work my way around it and just be who I want to be at any given time. And sometimes I am super outgoing, and I do have a really soft, quiet side to myself too, believe it or not. But most of the time, I'm pretty loud and proud.
We talk about Jack the same way. You know,
Yeah,
he's
that's
just
me.
he's hard to constrain. I mean, look, at the end of the day, like you said, we're not going to solve the ills of society, but
No.
I'll tell you what I deeply appreciated. You own what it is that you do. You do it proudly and you do it with intent and with direction. And there is no one on this planet other than yourself that has the ability to stop or to start that. It's not like you're being coerced into this or you're
Mhm.
choosing freely that this is how I'm expressing myself. And look, I think that there's an element to, look, there's always consequences to some actions. But I think some of the reaction is so extreme, it's like, why would you give a fuck? Why, if someone wishes to express themselves in such a way, in a voluntary fashion, the easiest thing to say is, look, that's not my cup of tea, but happy trails. Do what you're going to do, find success. And that's really the long and short of it, right? The debate of the morality or, any sort of all of this, it's all bullshit. It doesn't matter.
It is bullshit. And let me say this, and I'm just going to say it because, I do have a podcast coming that is, dangerously honest with Lorraine Lewis.
Hmm.
And I will say there are some people that have contacted me saying, what's wrong with you? Or what's happened to you? Or, they just don't get it. And I will say, some of those people, I hold a lot of secrets for a lot of people. And nobody is squeaky clean. So I appreciate you saying that I own it and I'm I'm not hiding that I'm on there. Like I do push it. I promote it on Instagram. I am on OnlyFans TV, which is more of a safe for work. You can't have any nudity on there. Um, and it is up to me. I get some really wild requests, but it's still up to me if I decide to do that or not. And some things I do, and some things I just don't. It's just not my thing, or it's a little too weird for me. But at least it's a place where people can be themselves, and secrets are safe there for sure. But yeah, people that want to like that what's that saying? The kettle calling the black, whatever that saying is. Like, I know
Hmm.
way too much about so many people and so many things that I would never ever reveal. But for people like that to point a finger or whisper behind my back is funny to me. It's like, wow, really? Because girl or dude. Come on. We're all people doing the best that we can. But I would never judge anybody for their choices, and sometimes people make choices that are seasonal, you know, and then they do something different. And I would never judge anybody in any season of their life because we're all just doing the damn best that we can, with what we've got. And yeah, no judgment for anybody at all. But
I would,
Yeah,
I would
perfect.
absolutely, you need to have an unfettered platform to express how you feel. And I think we're all in agreement here. And I'm not trying to change the subject. I want this to be an open topic between us. But I do have kind of a follow-up question because you mentioned something about this. When you're on the road, you're going to be in Australia in March, I believe,
Mhm.
touring. Um, you got your band. Um, you're, however it is, you're cooped up on a bus or you're cooped up in these small spaces with kind of the same people for a certain amount of time. When you're on the road, or even really sort of in your everyday life with all of the pressures of people talking shit and saying things to you, how do you cope? What are the things that you do to cope?
Great question. I'm a believer in frequency. I'm one of those. I believe in manifesting. I believe in frequency. I listen to Joe Dispenza. I listen to Neville Goddard. I I am spiritual on a level of that I have a gratitude list most mornings of 10 things that I'm grateful for. I send love to three people that are irritating the F out of me or that they've wronged me in some way. I send them love and I sit quietly and figure out what my day is going to be like. I really literally let it roll off of me. Um, I know that when people are rude online, it really means nothing. I'm just happy they're talking about me. I've read some things of people saying, oh my God, she's so plastic. Her boobs are fake. Her face is fake. All of this kind of stuff. And people can have their opinion of that. It really doesn't matter to me. I like the way that I look. I take care of myself. Do I do Botox and things? Yes, I do. Do I have fake boobs? Yes, I do. I actually have had them done 3 times. When I jumped out of the plane for the video, I actually ruptured one. I haven't said that before in an interview, but yeah, I had to have my boobs redone in September because I had the worst pain I've ever had. And I was like, my shirt just touched my breast. And it was like, whoa, what the hell is that? And it sent me through the roof. I was getting ready to go to the UK to see Oasis. I was leaving in a week and I just couldn't believe the pain. And so I couldn't deal with it until I got back. But yeah, I had to have them redone because of that, because there was all the stuff was like starting to go into my body. I caught it really early. But yeah, like, like I remember some guy on Facebook, he's like, yeah, she's pretty, but those boobs aren't real. And it's like, so what? Like, and I mean, I've never, I mean, it was the 80s. If you were lucky enough to get a set of boobs, and by the way, I will say, Howard Kaufman bought me my first chest. Howard Kaufman, who managed me, HK manager, HK management. I had a great meeting with him when they were thinking about managing me. I went into his office. Andrea, his secretary, who became a co-manager, said, Howard's a very busy man. Don't be offended if he spends 5 minutes with you. I was there for almost an hour. I was sitting on his desk playing with his pencils and my hair was big. I remember going to Goodwill and I got an outfit together out of Goodwill, short shorts, denim, cowboy boots, and some copper top that buttoned up. And when I left the meeting, Andrea called me and said, Howard loves you. He wants to manage you. He has one question for you. I was like, what's that? He wants to know if he buys you a chest, will you wear it? And I said, fuck yeah, I will. Of course I will. Are you kidding me? Girl leaves Albuquerque, New Mexico to LA and a manager wants to buy her boobs. And I'll tell a little bit more about that story. I had already been going to the Tropicana. I was thinking about becoming a mud wrestler and one of those girls because that was kind of the MO back in the day. You worked at the Tropicana, you got money, you got a boob job, and the rest is history. Maybe you ended up in the Playboy Mansion. I don't know, but that was kind of how it was. And so I auditioned to be a dancer and I got hired. And but I didn't go back. They hired me. I think it was a Wednesday. I was supposed to go back on a Thursday, and I just didn't go back because I was like, I'm here to be a rock star. I'm not here to be a dancer. And I love all my dancer buddies, and I respect them. It's hard work. But yeah, I ended up getting a boob job because of Howard Kaufman. And Howard is very responsible, I will say, for the girls in Heart, during that era where they had the push-ups. I don't know if they had boob jobs or not. It seemed to be to me that they did, but that was that whole glam era of Heart and elevated their career immensely. That was Howard Kaufman. Howard Kaufman had a thing for boobs and pretty girls, and he took them to a whole nother level. I know I've seen in interviews that they don't like that era, but girls, like that was a good time for you guys. And Howard Kaufman is very, very much responsible for that. I don't know what went on behind the scenes with any of it, but for me, looking at it on MTV, it was like, wow, that's when they really broke.
It's a
I was
spot
a
on the map for sure.
yes,
Yeah.
and I was a huge Heart fan. I mean, I was like one of those Deadheads. I was never really a Deadhead fan, one of those that band, but I was that kind of fan with Heart. I followed them everywhere, everywhere that they played. I was one of those. I was a total Heart groupie. Um,
Wow.
Hi, everybody. This is Sam Saltman of Metal Invasion, and you should support SLAM. Support Life in Music benefits musician mental health through research and through SLAM Summit Music Survival Guides. Thank you.
I
so
can I cannot confirm or deny that when I'm driving up the 101 freeway and I'm passing a certain exit and I look at the building that was formerly the Tropicana, that there isn't perhaps a silent tear that goes down my cheek. But
right? That was an iconic place. I mean,
absolutely.
Charisse Neal worked there. Charisse Neal was a mud wrestler.
Hmm.
And we often talk, because Charisse and I are very close friends. And she's like, gosh, I so wish that we would have met back then. And we just barely missed each other. And it was because I didn't take the job. If I would have taken the job, I definitely would have known her back then. I didn't meet her until I created the show Ex-Wives of Rock. And that, I mean, of course, I knew about her. She was the queen bee, for sure, married to Vince and everything. But yeah, it's been a wild, fun ride.
We need to
Yeah.
get casual and we need to start maybe have whatever you like to imbibe in a drink, or if you don't anymore, then something, and just pull some stories out of you. Just for the sake of historical resonance, just making sure that we're recording the stories that you have.
I have so many stories. So, I don't kiss and tell. However, I dated Rikki Rocket back in the day. I don't think that that's really a secret. But Rikki and I, to this day, are very, very good friends. But he was just so great. I have such great memories of him coming to my band rehearsals, riding me on the back of his Harley Davidson. We rode all the way from LA to Orange County to see Sebastian Bach when he performed. I used to ride with him and his motorcycle group. They were called the Lost Boys, and we would go, out to Malibu and find a bar and play pool together and party together. I was at the Woodrow Wilson house very often. I had a huge crush on Rikki back in the day. Um, and I used to take, I was waitressing at that point. I was waitressing at Le Express on Ventura Boulevard. And I would call him when I was getting ready to get off, and I would say, "Are you hungry?" And of course, every guy in every band is hungry. And so I would grab a pizza from the back. They'd make a pizza for me. I would pay for it, and I would go to the Poison House, and every all the guys would smell pizza and come into Ricky's room and eat pizza and take a piece and all of that. And just, there were girls everywhere, always at that house. It was up on Woodrow Wilson. I was in a photo session with them. I don't know what magazine it was in, but I was one of many girls there. I do remember Rikki after that photo session. I remember I was going to leave. There are just way too many women there, and I was just like, I'm out. I'm not going to like take a number. And so, because I'm a rock star, right? I'm thinking I'm not one of them, I, I'm me. And anyway, so I was driving a red LeBaron back then, a convertible red LeBaron with a white top, and he walked me out to my car to kiss me goodbye. And I remember him saying that he wrote a song for me that's going to be on the record. And I was like, that sounds like bullshit, but okay. I went along with it. But he said, yeah, the song I Won't Forget You was for me. But I think that he might have said that to a lot of girls. And that's okay. I love Rikki. I'm hoping that he's actually going to play on one of my newest tracks. We were just talking through texting a week ago, and I'll see him at the Metal Hall of Fame. Maybe they'll have me present to him. I don't know. But Rikki also tells the story of when we went to the MTV Awards. He just told me this a few months ago. And Cindy Crawford was on the red carpet and she was interviewing people as they were coming in. And, Rikki and I roll in on his Harley, and she's there and I'm with him and she wants to talk with them. And he like looked at me and I was like, go. Like, are you kidding me? It's fucking Cindy Crawford, go. Like, I'm good with it. And so he went and I said something like, make sure you kiss her on camera. And so anyway, he just brought that up. He was like, you were so cool. Like you just got it. And that's the thing about me. I mean, it's entertainment business, it's rock and roll. And, if you're gonna be in the circle and if you're gonna be in rock and roll at all, if you're gonna date a rock star, if you're gonna date a musician, you gotta roll with it. You gotta roll with it. Otherwise, go find yourself a golfer or a doctor or whatever, who, by the way, are no saints either. Uh, but you just have to roll with it. Like, God, I've seen so much drama with relationships and rock and roll, and myself included. I mean, I husband shall remain nameless, but there were times in V band that he would come out on the road and like he just hated me being in the band. It was so challenging. And drama and arguments before you're getting ready to go on stage, so not cool. And like I'm just so done with that. And so when I say, it's taken me a while to get here, and yeah, I will never allow any of that in my life again. And I would never be that for anyone. Like, yeah, if I'm gonna date someone in the music business, like you know what is what the landscape is like. And I would never want to limit someone that they can't sign a girl's boobs on tour, like really? I sign boobs all the time. Like, you know, like I would never put a restriction like that. It's rock and roll, people. It's rock and roll.
Nice.
I will say I
Hallelujah.
had to defend Liam Gallagher recently at a party. This is before they went out on tour, so it's been over a year. But I remember I was at this rock and roll party in the Valley. It was a birthday party, and I was really excited because I had tickets to go see Oasis in Manchester, and I also got tickets to see them in Pasadena. I'm a huge, enormous Oasis fan. There's something about their music, the special sauce, the vibration, something in it just makes me feel good. I literally listen to Oasis every day, every day. It just makes me feel good. And the songwriting is so superb. Noel is such a great songwriter. I feel like all of the songs are written for Liam. That's what it sounds like for me. They're almost like love songs to Liam. But I was at this party and I'm talking about going to Manchester to see Oasis, and some girl, she seemed a little uptight just in general. I mean, I was wearing like faux leather and boobs up and the whole thing, and she just seemed a little uncomfortable at this party. But we started talking about it, and she's like, "Oh, I can't believe that you like Liam Gallagher and Oasis." I was like, "Are you kidding? Like, I'm a rabid fan." And she's like, "Well, yeah, if you like your rock stars to trash hotel rooms." And I was like, "As a matter of fact, I do.
You damn right I do.
I want my rock stars to flip in, like, yes, yes." And by the way, that was like 30 years ago. Well, you know what I mean? Like, really? Like, and they were young. Oh my God, Liam was
Mhm.
like 22, 23 years old. Are you kidding me? Of course they trashed hotel rooms. So yeah, I had to defend him. I was like, yeah, I like my rock stars to be like that. Like, I don't, I, like, what, we're gonna sit around and play Scrabble? Like, I don't know. Like, I want them to be gods, rock gods. I mean, that's all part of the fun of it. I mean, do I want them to be assholes and hurt children and hurt puppies? No. But a hotel room and you can afford to put it back together? Why not? You know, why not? So that's my story with rock and roll and defending rock and roll. And I will say Youngblood's right there. Youngblood is amazing. I saw him at the Palladium a few months ago, saving rock and roll for sure. Måneskin, I thought were the saviors of rock and roll a few years ago, but they've taken Damiano, the lead singer, and I mean, he's got a great career and he's a great singer still, but he's more Harry Styles-ish now than when Måneskin
Mhm.
first came out with winning the European songwriting contest. Um, Måneskin was great for rock and roll, and Youngblood is great for rock and roll.
They went in a different direction with Måneskin, especially where I thought they might try to take that, and it was very sort of out there. It was very loud and proud, and then they kind of softened it up a little bit. It just
They
the
did.
kinder,
Yeah,
yeah,
they changed it and they changed him. And I mean, he's still incredible. But for me, he was on the level of Youngblood,
yeah.
killer voice, killer stage presence, didn't give a flip. Really the rock and roll to the max. Um, I wish him well. I know he's newly engaged to Dove Cannon and I wish him well, but man, nothing like rock and roll to rock your socks off, and Youngblood is really, so many people have said that he is saving rock and roll. Matt Sorum said it. Matt was at the show. I saw him at the show at the Palladium and then found out later that he had been recording with Steve Tyler and Joe and
Hmm.
Youngblood. It's
Mm.
beautiful to see. Yeah, it's
I,
great.
I
Yeah.
think people misunderstand Youngblood because they haven't seen the things that he's done. He's got his own festival. He's done a lot of work kind of behind the scenes, and he's done a lot of work out front as well. And I think that that bodes well for his sort of trajectory going forward.
Yeah,
Well, like a lot of haters, like you were saying earlier,
Sure.
a lot of people just see the success and don't understand it and just want to throw mud. But
he's been in the trenches for years. He was a child. He was a teenager, Like he worked his ass off to get here. It wasn't handed to him by any means. He's just elevated continuously. And, I mean, I gotta hand it to him, and I think he's got a great voice. His voice is so good. Oh my God. And I saw right in front of me him performing, and he's rock and roll to the max. So yeah, I dig him a lot, and I think he's going to do super, super well. But yeah, the haters, they just like to hate, I don't
Comes with the territory.
it's
yeah,
yeah, it just does. It does. And again, for me, I just let it roll off of me. I mean, for all the people that say, not nice things about me or think that my voice sucks or whatever they want to say, there are equally amount of people that dig what I do and tell me so on the daily, or my post office boxes has gifts in it because I have fans that love me and and dig what I do, So I appreciate all of them. I appreciate all of it. Yeah.
Awesome.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna take us on a small turn because we have a couple of things that we always ask about because Sport Life and Music is about protecting musicians, and I mean, we've talked about it. There's some fun to this, but there's also a dangerous, not fun in the fun stuff that Mark was talking about earlier. There's also a dangerous and destructive side. So, what is your advice, Lorraine? What is your advice for musicians or anyone who's kind of struggling with despair, with happiness, with unhappiness? Like, what's your advice for people to kind of keep going and find themselves and find happiness?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, really. And I'm not one to really give advice because I think that people need to listen to themselves to find out what they need. But the first thing that I would say is listen to yourself. You have to listen to yourself. You don't listen to anybody else. Everybody is giving you advice off their own experience, which has nothing to do with you. So it might feel comforting at the time, but you have to really get real with yourself, find some quiet time to just really find out who you are and what you want out of life. Get a flippin' notepad and write down what you want out of this life. How do you see yourself? Like write it down and read it, or write little notes to yourself. Whew, I do mantras every day. I do something called Hot Girl Walk every day where I money comes to me easily. Money comes to me fast. I mean, I do all this stuff. Everybody loves me. Um, things are always working out for me. I mean, I do all that kind of stuff. I mean, I have on my microwave, I have little notes to myself. I don't know if you can see them. Are they there?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, the world loves me so much. I am smart, sexy, and sweet. Everything always works in my favor. I am so successful financially and grateful. I mean, you have to feed yourself good shit. That's so I would say that's where it starts. We have these brains, and our brains are wired to keep us safe. They're wired to keep us here. So we have to continuously, when those thoughts and weird things pop in your brain, you have to push it away somehow, and you have to say, no, not today. I'm not listening to that. That's going down the river. I love myself. Everybody loves me. I am going to find a parking space today. All this, just anything good. I do believe in walking and just taking in nature and beauty. I love birds. I love watching birds. Just finding some peace for yourself is really where it's at. And again, not listening to other people's opinions of what you should do, or you shouldn't do this, or you shouldn't do that. Really, you have to tap into who you are and what it is you want out of life. I really believe we're here to be happy and to have fun, not hurt anyone, but to have fun. Like, let's lighten up. Like, life is amazing. And if you start telling yourself that stuff, you'll start seeing it. I do this thing, I don't know if have I said this already, before I go to bed at night, while I'm kind of dozing off, I very often, and sometimes I fall asleep too quickly, but I will say something amazing is going to happen for me tomorrow. I just know it. Something amazing is going to happen for me tomorrow. And when I wake up and I'm still in that sleepy state, I say, something amazing is going to happen for me today. I just know it. And I will tell you, I mean, some of the things in my book are some of the amazing things that have had happen to me. Getting this iHeartRadio podcast. What? What? Really? You want me to? Okay, cool. Just amazing things happen in the course of a day. Being asked to be a presenter at the Metal Hall of Fame. I was actually thinking before that even happened, I was thinking, I wonder if I should reach out to Rikki because I really want to go to that. How do I get tickets to go to that and be an observer? And then I got an email from someone on the board with Brian from Cleopatra Records, and they wanted to ask me if I would please be a presenter. That was one great thing that happened that day. Are you kidding me? You know, like I got a feature on OnlyFans TV. Whenever you get a feature, your numbers, your followers, your subscribers just goes through the roof because I typed in onlyfans.com and mine was the very first video that you would see. And has over 5 million people that subscribe to it. So, for 48 to 72 hours, I was the very first video that people saw. Like, that was a really big thing. That was another great thing that happened, and little things too, getting the parking space at Trader Joe's. Every time I drive up to park somewhere, there is a parking space either open or there's someone coming out right in front of me, and in I go. And I recently told Charisse about this. And it happened. I was meeting her at Bristol Farms for a mimosa, and she was like, "Oh, I'm trying to find parking and this and that." And I was like, "Well, I just did," and I brought my phone out, and sure enough, cars coming out. It was literally two cars away from the front door, and it's leaving, and I just slipped right in, and I videotaped it and sent it to her, and she's like, you're right, you are so lucky, and she's lucky too. We both live by this stuff. We very often just say, we are so lucky, we're so lucky, we're so grateful, and for me, it's staying in that vibration and laughing at myself, getting dressed up every time I walk out the door to go to Trader Joe's or Starbucks, or to get the mail. All that stuff is just about being a girl and being fun and being happy and laughing at myself all the way. So the more you can laugh about things and just, goof off. I think that that is healing and good for the soul and good for the spirit.
Wow, what an answer. I think Mark and I we're the lucky ones here for this conversation. That was a fantastic answer. Thank you so much.
You're
There's
welcome.
there's karma, and then there's I always get a parking spot at Trader Joe's karma. I mean, being from Los Angeles, let's just call this shit out for what it is, okay? Because
Oh,
I was going along with the story just fine until you said some shit about, oh, this is Trader Joe's, because there's a spotlight that's following you that is very karma positive for that. So
Right, I believed
that
everything until that point. That I refuse to believe that. That's not
no, well,
not even
no,
close.
I mean it just makes me believe it even more, right? Like
Right.
I'm doing the math in my head. Do I need to get up and do a hot girl walk every day? Like is this going to change my fucking karma, right?
it will. I'm telling you, but it's feeding yourself the good stuff. It's not looking at the news. I haven't watched the news. I have a TV here. The only thing that I put on on my television is they have the Yule logs, or they have
Hmm.
like videos of like, they have the Christmas tree in Paris. You can see the Eiffel Tower in the background. Like, that's what I put on my TV. I don't ever watch TV, even though I am in the TV business. I do use my laptop if I'm going to watch like a Netflix something, but I'm out doing and living. I don't sit in front of the TV. I don't watch the news. There's a lot of crazy going on in the world today. My heart is with everyone. I am a Libra. I believe in justice and fairness. So I have to stay away from that stuff though, because otherwise it's like I'm gonna like have to become an attorney and jump in or something and help the world. Like I don't know. So I just have to like kind of stay in my lane right now. Um, I'm a major dog lover. I don't have any dogs right now. They've all passed. I have like six little boxes of ashes. At some point, I do want to get a couple of pit bulls. I did go to vet tech school. I could be a vet tech, but it was all very too emotional for me. And I don't really consider myself an empath. I don't really know. I mean, I've read what the definition is of that. I don't really believe I'm that. I just know that I am sensitive to a degree, and it's not healthy for me to look at things that don't feel good. So that's probably my biggest advice. Don't look at those things, as just do your best to stay away from that, because that just starts hurting your soul and your spirit. I just want to goof off and look at dogs running and birds, trying to get water in Palm Springs. But yeah, feed yourself the good stuff and good stuff will happen.
Seriously, amen. Well,
Moment.
you have been incredibly generous with your time. I think we're okay, but I think we're coming to the end that we have together. I want to just make sure that we're recounting everything. You got a single, Living Like There's No Tomorrow. You've also got another single that's called Bad Love that's out there that people should go check out. You've got this tour of Australia. You're going with Trickster, and there's another act that's on the
Yes.
bill. That's March 26th. As you had mentioned, your Dangerously Honest podcast, your first episodes are kicking off in February. Are you able to talk about who your first guest is, or?
It's Valentine's Day. So it kicks off Valentine's Day, which is why I'm wearing the heart,
Hmm.
iHeartRadio and Valentine's Day. I'm actually going to be in the UK when it drops. I'm going to be out there on a kind of a little getaway between the 12th and the 17th. I'll be in the UK, but I will be doing my episodes. They will be recorded before that. I'm actually going to the studio tomorrow in Burbank to check out the studio. It's very pink and cute and all of that. I'm really excited about that. I also have a huge single that's going to drop late February or early March with an iconic male singer. We did a duet together. Um, Last year or 2 years ago, I had recorded the song Heroes with Lou Gramm. That is not coming out. They've made a decision not to release that song, but I did re-record that song with someone iconic. And y'all are just gonna freak out. So I'm really excited about that single coming out. I have another single. I was in the studio with Tony West from Blacklist Union. I don't know if you know that band, but he's a killer singer, great front man, another Libra, great spirit. And we were in the recording studio with Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson is famous for the Evanescence
Hmm.
songs, great producer, and we recorded Stop Dragging My Heart Around. That's going to get released probably in May. There's a video that I was just watching, the first pass of me and Tony in the studio. It's going to be really great. And the new song called Somebody that is was co-written by Tommy Hendrickson from Alice Cooper Band, Steve Brown, and myself. It's hooky, it's amazing, it's anthemic, and that's coming out. I have a ballad called Home is Where the Heart Lives. Um, yeah, there's all sorts of great stuff going on. So people just have to come find me. Lorraine Lewis Rocks is my moniker. LorraineLewisRocks.co is my website where you can get merch and photos and all this stuff. And then Lorraine Lewis Rocks on Instagram. My OnlyFans is Lorraine Lewis Rocks. My Safe for Work is just Lorraine Lewis. OnlyFans, the same thing, or the TV, OnlyFans TV, YouTube. I mean, I'm everywhere. It's nonstop around here.
You
That's
had a great post the other day. Sean McNabb and yourself were up at the whiskey. That was a fantastic post. I ton of respect for Sean McNabb as for all of the things that he does, and I'm happy that you two are working together. So that's awesome.
He's played bass on all of the tracks. And he's
Yeah.
like my Libra brother. He's really cool. I'm
Hmm.
actually gonna, my cameraman filmed some stuff of us together that's somewhat similar, but more from my point of view. But yeah, I was on the Sunset Strip, filming for OnlyFans TV. I did a lot of stuff. I met with Neil Zlozauer, went to his studio. Neil and I go way back. Neil has taken some really great photos of me, and I consider him a really great friend. Um, so that was super fun. And just me walking down Sunset Strip and telling the stories, of, getting signed and what that was like. And, the things that you've heard, the flyers everywhere. I mean, the 80s was a special, special time.
Hmm.
I would end up at parties in the hills. I never really knew how I got there. Like you would just make fast friends with people on the strip, and then you'd end up at these iconic parties. And I don't even remember how we got home. Did we cab? There wasn't Uber. I mean, it's all like a blur, but we all took care of each other, super friendly, nothing. I never experienced anything super weird. I mean, I know that Guns N' Roses has a lot of stories and stuff. I I wasn't I wasn't on the super decadent side of rock and roll, I didn't do drugs. I mean, I did cocaine back in college, but those days were over by the time I got to LA. I dated like the biggest drug dealer on campus, by the way, back in the day. I think he got that position because he was a drug dealer. But wild. But yeah, those days were long gone before I moved to LA. So I don't know that decadent side of any of it. But I did write a song with Wes Arkeen, who Guns N' Roses considered the sixth member of Guns N' Roses. He wrote It's So Easy and Patience and so many great songs. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun.
I have such admiration of you, but the appreciation has just gone so much further because all of those things that I talked about, the being fearless, being creative, being a free spirit, you don't understand how much those things are true until we take a minute to sort of walk in your shoes and hear the story. So thank you for sharing those amazing things and sharing your experience. I'm not even kidding. There is a beautiful karmic spotlight that is following you around that is not only enhancing your trajectory, but it's also shielding you a little bit because I think that that's just what the universe has in store for you. Because there's no way that all of these sort of coincidences could sort of build up and go through. So, hats off to you for leading such an amazing life. And
Thank you.
I'll let Jack bring us home.
Thank you. I'm
And you want me to? follow up that, both of you brought a lot of brilliance, and I'll just say, very grateful, Lorraine. It's been great talk. I look forward to hopefully bumping into you next week. A couple of the events next week. Of course, by the time this goes out, that'll be ancient history. But I look forward to seeing you next week. And yeah, congratulations on a great career. You're welcome back anytime at Support Life and Music. We would love to have you come back and tell us more. I feel like we just touched the tip of the iceberg. I feel like there's so many more
100%.
stories and things
Oh, I
to
know.
talk about.
And I can talk forever. I mean, I never get tired of hearing myself talk. So I will come back, but are you going to be there on Thursday? That's the one day I'm going to be there for sure.
I'll be out there for sure. Yeah, I'll be out
Well,
there. Yeah.
Well,
I'll be
email
there
you
Friday. So
Yeah.
Friday. Okay, so I'll barely miss you then. But yeah, because Friday I'll be heading to Canyon Lake to perform. But let's communicate through the email and we'll exchange info and then we'll find each other for sure. That would be great.
Right.
Get a
Excellent.
photo together.
awesome.
Yes, yes. All right. Lorraine Lewis, everyone, just absolutely just a giant in the industry. Thank you so much for coming on and
Absolutely.
joining us today.
Super
Yep.
generous. Thank you so much. Have a great day, guys. Love you.
Thank you, Lorraine.
You too.
Bye.
Appreciate you very much.
Okay. Thanks. Bye.